So now I'm going to open up the Bible just for a passage, because this next passage really summarizes where we are at this point with Job. This next passage, Job chapter 32, verses 1 to 3, is a good summary of where we are right now in the events. So these three men ceased to answer Job, because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then Elihu, the son of Barashel, the Buzite, of the family of Ram, burned with anger. He burned with anger at Job because Job justified himself rather than God. He burned with anger also Job's three friends because they had found no answer, even though they had declared Job to be in the wrong. All right, so the next thing that happens is God intervenes. God appears to them. And remember, it's God that got this whole thing started in the first place. It wasn't Satan, it wasn't Job, it was God. God and Satan were talking. God got the ball rolling and saying, hey, Satan, what have you been doing? I'm walking up and down the earth looking at things. What do you think about my man down there, Job? Blameless, righteous, upright, nobody else like him. And Satan said, well, if bad stuff happened, we'll curse your face. God got this started. Why did he get this started? Because he knows the outcome. God knows everything. He's outside of time. He knew how this was going to end. And it had to end with the breaking of Job through these trials so that this darkness in his heart would come out and he could repent of it and be restored. So it's at this point in the book of Job that God appeared to Job, and he reminded Job that God is God and Job is not God. So in Job chapter 38 and 39, it says, Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Dress for action like a man. I will question you, and you will make it known to me. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? On what were its bases sunk? Or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Or who shut in the sea with doors when it burst forth from the womb? When I made the clouds its garment and thick darkness its swaddling band, and I prescribed limits for it and set bars and doors and said, Thus far you shall come and no farther, and here shall your proud waves be stayed. Have you entered into the springs of the sea, or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? Or have you seen the gates of the deep darkness? Have you comprehended the expanse of the earth? Declare, if you know all this. Can you guide the bear with its children? Do you know the ordinances of the heavens? Can you establish the rule on the earth? Can you send forth lightnings that they may go and say to you, Here we are? Who has put wisdom in your inward parts or given understanding to the mind? Shall a fault finder contend with the Almighty? He who argues with God, let him answer it. Well, then Job just crumbles and he just realizes that, I thought I was so righteous and now I see you face to face and I see what perfect righteousness is. And I'm not. You are God. I'm not. And he got humbled and he repented. So Job said, he answered the Lord and said, Behold, I am of small account. What shall I answer you? I lay my hand on my mouth. I have spoken once, but I will not answer. Twice, but I will proceed no further. God responded and let Job know that it is only God himself that can help Job in his time of need, not Job's sense of his inflated self-righteousness. So in Job chapter 40, verse 6 to 14, it says, Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Dress for action like a man. I will question you, and you will make it known to me. Will you even put me in the wrong? Will you condemn me that you may be in the right? Have you an arm like God, and can you thunder with a voice like his? Adorn yourself with majesty and dignity. Clothe yourself with glory and splendor. Pour out the overflowings of your anger, and look on everyone who is proud and abase him. Look on everyone who is proud and bring him low, and tread down the wicked where they stand. Hide them in the dust altogether. Bind their faces in the world below. Then I will also acknowledge that your own right hand can save you. Who is first given to me that I should repay him? Whatever is under the whole heaven is mine. And then Job again was humbled in the presence of God. And in Job 42, verse 1 to 6, Job said, I know that you can do all things, and no purpose of yours can be thwarted. Who is this that hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore, I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful which I did not know. Hear and I will speak, I will question you, make it known to me. I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes see you. Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes. Now another comparison to Satan. Satan didn't do that when God confronted him. Satan doubled down like, yeah, I want to take over, get out of my way. Job, when confronted by God, said, I'm so sorry, you're right, I'm wrong. I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't know what I was talking about. I never really saw you. Now that I see you, I see who you are and I see who I am, and I'm nothing and you're God, you're everything. Please forgive me. That's what God wanted to bring out of Job, and that's what happened. Now, I'm going to read from the Bible. Interesting ending. We're in 42. So chapter 42, verses 7 to 9, and it says, After the Lord had spoken the words to Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, My anger burns against you and against your two friends, for you have not spoken of me of what is right, as my servant Job has. Now therefore take 7 bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up a burnt offering for yourselves. And my servant Job shall pray for you. For I will accept his prayer and not deal with you according to your folly. For you have not spoken of me as what is right, as my servant Job has. So Eliphaz the Temanite and Bildad the Shuhite and Zophar the Naamathite went and did what the Lord had told them, and the Lord accepted Job's prayer. Okay, so what's going on there? God said, listen, guys, you 3 guys that came to see, and there was 4 of them. So there's 4 of them, but God was upset with these 3. And what he was upset about was he said, you said some things about me that weren't right. You said some things about me that were not accurate. My friend Job said accurate stuff, you didn't. So God was upset with them because now I don't know what they said. It doesn't clarify it in the Bible because they said a lot about God and about Job and whatever. It doesn't explain exactly what they said that God didn't like about him, but something. But what is interesting is God said, I'm upset with you because what you said about me was wrong. He didn't say what you said about Job was wrong at all. He didn't criticize them and said, oh, you're all wrong about Job. He didn't say that at all. He said what you said about me was wrong. What were they saying about Job? They were basically saying, Job, you think you're perfectly sinless. Nobody's perfectly sinless, but you think you are. You think you're right. You think God is wrong in this. That's not right. You need to repent and return back to him. Maybe he's disciplining you. He didn't say that was wrong. So anyways, that's what happened though. The 3 friends gave a sacrifice to God, and Job prayed for God. God forgave them because they did what he asked them to. God forgave Job because Job humbled himself before God and repented of everything. And God restored everything, and Job had a great rest of his life. So listen how it ends. Job chapter 42, verses 10 to 17, it says, And the Lord restored the fortunes of Job when he prayed for his friends. And the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came to him all his brothers and sisters, and all who had known him before, and ate bread with him in his house. And they showed him sympathy and comforted him for all the evil that the Lord had brought him. And each of them gave him a piece of money and a ring of gold. And the Lord blessed Job in the latter days more than in his beginning. And he had 14,000 sheep. All these things he possesses now. The cattle is double what he had before. He used to have 7,000 sheep. Now he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. Now remember, he had originally 7 sons and 3 daughters. They were killed by Satan. God allowed him to replace them with 7 more and 7 more sons and 3 daughters. So now he has 20 children. The first 10 might be up in heaven waiting for him. Now he's got 10 more that he fathered. Well, won't be up in heaven until Jesus came. But, he restored, he lost 7 sons and 3 daughters. God gave him 7 more sons and 3 more daughters. And he called the name of his first daughter Jemima, and the second Keziah, and the name of the third Karen Hapuk. And in all the land there are no women as beautiful as Job's daughters. And their father gave them an inheritance among their brothers. And after this, Job lived 140 years, and he saw his sons and his sons' sons 4 generations. And Job died an old man full of days. So God restored everything that Satan took away in these trials. And now he also repaired Job's heart. That pride, that arrogance, that sin. He was better than other people, and he was right and God was wrong, and people were beneath him, and people worshiped and praised him. That's all gone now. That was in there, and it took these trials to bring it out. It brought it out. Job repented of it. Now Job truly is, not just in the outward behaviors, but in his inside heart too, all over, an upright, righteous man, blameless as nobody else like him on earth. So that's it for Job. And we're going to stop there. When we start again, we're finally done with Job, and we're going to move on to other wisdom books. There's 5 wisdom books, and the next one we're going to cover the book of Psalms. Now,